sorry. We do have a quorum. We have a couple folks we're still waiting on, but they will join shortly. Let's get started. Welcome everyone to the November 20th, 2024 regular meeting of the San Francisco Elections Commission. I'm the president, Robin Stone. The time is now 6:05 p.m. and I call the meeting to order. Before we proceed further, Commission Secretary Marisa Davis, will you please briefly explain some procedure for participating in today's meeting?
Thank you, President Stone. The minutes of this meeting will reflect that this meeting is being held in person, City Hall, room 408, 1 Dr. Carlton B. Goodlett Place, San Francisco 94102, and remotely via WebEx. As authorized by the Elections Commission's February 15, 2023 vote, members of the public may attend the meeting to observe and provide public comment either at the physical meeting location or remotely. Details and instructions for participating remotely are listed on the Commission's website and on today's meeting agenda. Public comment will be available on each item on this agenda. Each member of the public will be allowed 3 minutes to speak, 6 minutes if you are on the line with an interpreter. When providing public comment, you are encouraged to state your name clearly. Once your 3 minutes have expired, staff will thank you and you will be muted. Please direct your comments to the entire commission and not to a specific commissioner. When joining by phone, you will hear a beep when you are connected to the meeting. You will be automatically muted and in listening mode only. To make public comment, dial *3 to raise your hand when your item of interest comes up. You will be added to the public comment line. You will hear, "You have raised your hand to ask a question. Please wait until the host calls on you." The line will be silent as you wait your turn to speak. If at any time you change your mind and wish to withdraw yourself from the public comment line, press *3 again. You will hear the system say, "You have lowered your hand." When joining by WebEx or a web browser, make sure the participant's side panel is showing. At the bottom of the list of attendees is a small button or icon that looks like a hand. Press the hand icon to raise your hand. You will be unmuted when it is time for you to comment. When you are done with your comment, click the hand icon again to lower your hand. In addition to participating in real time, interested persons are encouraged to participate in this meeting by submitting public comment in writing by 12 p.m. on the day of the meeting to elections.commission@sfgov.org. It will be shared with the commission after this meeting has concluded and will be included as part of the official meeting file. Thank you, President Stone.
Thank you. Secretary Davis, will you please proceed with item number 1, commission roll call?
President Stone.
Present.
Vice President Parker. Okay. From what I understand, she'll be running a little late.
Yep.
Commissioner Bernholz.
Here.
Commissioner Dye.
She's on her way as well.
Okay. Let me write that down. Commissioner Lavolsi.
Present.
Commissioner Wong.
Here.
President Stone, with essentially all 6 members due to be here, you have a quorum.
And with 4 members present, we have a quorum before the other 2 arrive. The San Francisco Elections Commission acknowledges that we're on the unceded ancestral homeland of the Ramaytush Ohlone, who are the original inhabitants of the San Francisco Peninsula. As the indigenous stewards of the land and in accordance with their traditions, the Ramaytush Ohlone have never ceded, lost, nor forgotten their responsibilities as caretakers of the place, as well as for all people who reside in their traditional territory. As guests, we recognize that we benefit from living and working on their traditional homeland. We wish to pay our respects by acknowledging the ancestors and relatives of the Ramaytush community and affirming their sovereign rights as First Peoples. Closes agenda item number 1. We'll move to agenda item number 2, general public comment.
There are no public commenters.
Thank you. Secretary Davis, do you possibly have an extra pen up there? I realized I
Yes, I
forgot one. Sorry. Sorry for the interruption. Thank you. Always prepared. Thank you. Okay. Agenda item number 2, that closes agenda item number 2. We move to agenda item number 3, approval of previous meeting minutes, discussion and possible action on previous commission meeting minutes. So I didn't add the meeting minutes onto the website because we have the draft, but there's one area that needs to be reconciled with the meeting recording. And so we will post that once it's been reconciled onto the December meeting page, which is already up. So there actually isn't an agenda item or a packet item for this item. We can move to, unless there are comments, I assume there aren't, we'll move to public comment.
There are no public comments.
That closes agenda item number 3. We'll move to agenda item number 4, Director's Report, discussion and possible action regarding the November 2024 Director's Report. Welcome, Commissioner Dye.
Thank you, President Stone. Are we on? And so we're still in the election. I'll take questions on the report. I can add that we're on track to certify on December 3rd, which is the first day we can certify according to state law. And then right now, the ballots that could be processed are mostly the ballots that could be cured for signature-related issues. There's about 700 of those ballots. And then right now, we're at about a 79% turnout for this election, which is above the historical average since 1916 for election with presidential contest on the ballot. And then so tomorrow we'll start the manual tally down at our warehouse on Pier 31, 1% manual tally. And we're just getting ready for certification at this point. And I'll be glad to take any questions on the report on the election. So
Thank you, Director Arntz. Welcome questions from the commission. Anyone? I'll ask. So thank you for this report. I know you're still in the thick of it. I had one question about on page 3, as of it's section 2B. It says, as of November 15th, the department has counted 352,525 vote by mail ballots and identified 805 vote by mail ballots as challenged. And then it talks about those who have cured, and then also talks about the signature discrepancy. So I just wanted to clarify one quick part about that is are the majority of those 805 vote by mail ballots that were challenged due to signature issues, or can you describe other, and I think we go through this almost every election now, but would you mind just describing the different rationales for challenge, and that it seems like signature might be the majority of them, but any other reasons as well?
yeah, so signature issues are the majority, not 95 or more percent. So the main issue that would need to be cured is signature miscompare, where the signature on the envelope doesn't match what we are seeing in the record in someone's registration file in the registration database. And then no signature would be the second one. So people forget to sign the envelope when they send it back to us. So we need a signature from them. They can use the cure form for that. Then also there's military and overseas voters. They can fax ballots to us, but to do so, they disclose, they lose their confidentiality of the vote when they fax to us. So they have to send us an oath indicating that they agree to foreclose their confidentiality of their vote. So we need that to process their ballot. Then also people there's not many of those, really like 95 or more percent are the signature issues. And then also there's people that register by mail but don't include identification numbers such as the last 4 digits of Social Security or their California ID number on the registration form. And so until we receive that information, they're not eligible to vote in an election with a federal contest on the ballot. And so they can cure that information as well by sending us the form. But mostly it's the signature related issues.
Thanks. Welcome, Vice President Parker. That's helpful and makes sense. Let's see. Oh, a question I had is, can you share what percentage, if you are able to, off the top of your head at this point, of voters who voted by mail or via Dropbox? Was it more than last time? I think last time it was like 86%, 82% or something.
Are you voted by mail and Dropbox?
Yeah.
Or?
So did not vote at a poll site on election day.
Well, the turnout at the polling places was 7%. So 93% of the ballots that were tallied were by mail. Then the percentage breakdown, I tracked that, but I can't.
No
I
problem.
think that 30% came back. I think 35% came back in the mail. I think maybe 30% came back the drop boxes, maybe a little bit lower. And then about 27%. These numbers aren't going to add up, but
That's okay.
came back from the polls.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I can't. That's not making sense. So I will have to get back to you on
No
that.
problem.
But the USPS was still the main source of vote by mail ballots for us. Then I think that the drop boxes and ballots being dropped off at polling places were close to being equal. So
Awesome. Thank you. And then I just wanted to share appreciation for the department as usual, but specifically as it pertains to registration efforts and how that probably had an influence on turnout as well. So that number one. And then number two, the management of informing the media ahead of election day and what a difference that made from my point of view in how the results were reported. I've heard from some community members that they wanted the press to call it even sooner, which in my mind was actually successful on the department's behalf because it shows the efforts put in to make sure that the press was really aware of the process and how to build trust with the actual results and making sure that it aligned with where you were in the counting process. So thank you. I really appreciate that. That's all from me. Any other commissioners? Yes, Commissioner Dye.
Thank you, President Stone. I've recovered from the gauntlet of getting in. I had a couple of questions for you. Of the provisional votes, which there were 20,000 or so, what was the most common reason they were provisional?
I haven't really studied the provisionals for this election yet, but usually, and I think for this election too, is people going to the wrong polling place. So the names weren't on the roster, and the majority of them still went to polling places within their ballot type.
Mm-hmm.
So the contests for which they were eligible were counted after we received their ballots. And then probably the next category would have been people that went to the wrong polling place outside their ballot type. And so those had to be remade. And then and for this election, the effect would have been their vote. They would not have been eligible. They would not have voted for the supervisor's contest. So,
Right. Okay. That would have been my guess. I just wanted to confirm that that was the most common reason. People are creatures of habit, and if they didn't vote in the primaries, they might not have noticed their polling place had changed. The other question I had was, I think you mentioned there were 2,600 poll workers that are getting ready to pay. And I think you told us that there was an average of 3 poll workers per precinct. Is that, am I remembering it correctly? I'm just kind of curious.
depends on the election. So for this election, we increased the number of poll workers. So is probably around, I don't know the average, but it would have been around 5 poll workers per polling place, depending on the precinct.
Okay, numbers work out. That's good. And then I I wanted to commend your staff on all the work you guys have done to make the results reporting, clearer, with graphs. I think it's fabulous. I'm kind of curious if you've gotten any feedback from the media or other people who've been going to the website and looking at the new results reporting.
I haven't, no. Usually when I'm discussing results, it's the numbers with people. They're not discussing the graphics on the website or presentation on the website. But I'm not saying people haven't commented. It wasn't to me though. So
Yeah. Yeah. So if they haven't, I just want to say great job. I really like the explanation that appeared above the weird East Bay precincts that, we always wonder, why are they appearing here? Just providing that simple explanation, I think was great. I liked, of course, the RCV reporting, being able to see that, including the explanation about normalization so that people can understand, well, wait a second, we haven't finished counting all the ballots. How can you start, eliminating candidates? So I think that should have staved off some questions there. Also, the implementation of the lines to show when there are multiple candidates so people could kind of see who was in the lead. We had some squeakers this election, so I'm sure people were watching that. I think the color coding was really, really helpful. I think all of it was great. Huge improvement on the results reporting, and I hope you guys have gotten positive feedback, but if not, I wanted to provide it. I think it's great. So I was enjoying looking at the new graphs in particular. So I think that's extremely helpful for people to kind of get a sense of, visually a sense of the proportions of things. There were a couple of questions I had. I noticed that I was looking under registration trends, and it's supposed to show, new registrations by month, which is interesting. It's like fairly flat, but it stopped at the end of 2023. And I was just wondering, I know you have the data for 2024 by month. I'm just curious if maybe it's a bug. I don't know. It just stopped at December 2023. So I just wanted to draw your attention to that because I know that the other trends, went at least through April of 2024. So it was just weird that that kind of stopped. I also saw a placeholder for the voter information pamphlet delivery method, so we'll be able to see that breakdown of the online versus, so great. So soon to come, looking forward to that. Anyway, great job on that.
thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner Dye. Vice President Parker.
I apologize for my tardiness, all kinds of reasons I won't bore you all with. And please interrupt me if somebody already started talking about a question that I will ask, and I'll just watch the video for later. I want to add some of my congratulations and thanks for what seems to be pretty smooth, and echoing some of the things that I just heard. And just to comment, I'm an in-person polling place voter, and I did notice more people this time than usual who were ahead of me. There were families coming in with their little tinies and teaching them how to vote and all of that. It was really nice to see. I appreciated the quotes that you shared, the voter feedback in your report. That was nice to see some anecdotal things there. One quick note on the RCV results. I echo what Commissioner Dye was saying. In the mayoral election in particular, the short reports under the RCV rounds were hard to read. There was some weird formatting thing. I don't know if you're aware of it, but it's kind of impossible to read. The detailed were fine, but the short were really hard to read. And yes, echoing the same thing, I noticed the same thing in the media reporting. I was really happy to see that. Let's see, what do I have else on here? Just a quick question for you. I thought it was interesting that San Francisco's leading in voter turnout in the state so far. And I was looking on the Secretary of State site and I couldn't find that report. Where is that a public report? Do you know?
Not that I'm aware of,
Okay.
actually. The state has the unprocessed ballot report. I don't know if turnout is on that table or not. It might be, but you can do the math from that table.
Okay. Okay, and then going to where I know that the department's focus on education was around ranked choice voting and non-citizen voter voting. I was wondering if you all have any way to determine whether you thought it was helpful. Like, I thought you produced great resources from what I've seen compared to the past. But I wondered, are there particular data points that you all would point to determine if you thought that that specific education made a difference? Like, would that be rate of overvotes or something like that? Like, how can you tell?
There's no control. I mean, so we just rely on the feedback we get from the groups that we work with and also from voters that interact with the department.
Uh-huh.
But no, there's too many variables for us to say that, this happened because we did such a good job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I looked myself back at kind of the most recent mayoral elections that we've had, just to kind of compare those and see if and they are pretty similar. It's like, they're not very high in overvotes. I was looking at overvotes thinking that might be a good indicator that somebody didn't understand the process. And I saw it was like 0.25% in the 2018 mayoral race was overvotes and about 0.25% in the 2019 mayoral race. This year, it was like 0.35%, but it was also a much, much higher voter participation. People probably don't do it all the time, right? So just wondered if you had some indicator you were looking at, but okay. And then I also was wondering what your average historical cure rate of ballots is.
I don't know. It depends on the election, but I don't, some elections there's more cures than others. Certainly this election, we've had more cures. I think that the app that people could use on their phones to cure certainly increased the number of cures that we received for this election. But I don't know what the average is going back.
Okay. I'd be, if you all, in your reflection in a few months, I'm curious, that's what I was guessing is probably that new online cure portal probably would make a difference because it looked like it's pretty high so far, which is fantastic. And then my last question, and maybe you've already covered this, is what was it like at polling places? Were there any incidents? Were there any disruptions? Was there any harassment of staff, things like that?
Nothing that came back to me.
Okay. All right. That's all for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vice President Parker. Anyone else? No. Okay. I will add just one quick thing before we move to public comment that I should have mentioned. The commission also received positive accolades from the department, regarding the department, not from the department, as it pertains to just like voter experience, both on site in poll sites and also through the phone bank. I don't want to call it, is phone bank still? Okay. It sounds like such a political campaign phrase. So I wanted to be careful. But yeah, from the phone bank, people wrote to the commission just expressing their gratitude.
We call it voter support if that.
Voter
better.
support, there you go. Voter support from folks who said, they weren't sure how it would go and they were just amazed with the feedback and the support that they received from the department. So although I had forwarded it to the director, I think probably worth it to share publicly as well. Let's move to public comment.
Okay, we have no public commenters.
Thank you, Secretary Davis and Director Arntz. We look forward to reading the post-election report in December. That closes agenda item number 4. Let's move to agenda item number 5, Commissioners' Reports. Discussion and possible action on Commissioners' Reports for topics not covered by another item on this agenda. What? Meetings with public officials, oversight and observation activities, long-range planning for commission activities and areas of study, proposed legislation which affects elections and others. We'll open it up for commissioners. Vice President Parker.
I just want to share that I went to Pier 31 on election night to observe the ballot processing and was really impressed. I know from our tour that we did last December, I knew what it was going to look like, but it was really nice to be there. It was such a smooth, organized operation. The staff who were there were very helpful. They almost looked relaxed, like it was such a well-oiled, machine there. And they were very gracious and very welcoming to us being there. There was, aside from President Stone, who was also there, there was only one other observer that night who was actually part of an elections organization whose members are from all over the world who come to observe elections. And so she was commenting how interesting it was to be watching San Francisco's. So anyway, so just thank you to you and the staff for making that a really positive experience.
Thank you, Vice President Parker. Other commissioners? See if I can see Lucy. Commissioner Dye.
Yes, I didn't make it to Pier 31, although I did lurk online and take a look. So just reminding the public that we can see everything, every aspect of our elections here in San Francisco. I did visit some polling sites in my neighborhood and checked in. They seemed, it was, and they commented, the workers there commented it was busier than the March primary, which we would expect, more in-person traffic, lots of people dropping off ballots and actually voting. Didn't see any, I asked if there were any issues or incidents, and everything seemed to be going smoothly. I did see people taking pictures in front of the selfie thing in front, so I think that's kind of nice, especially especially for families bringing their children to kind of experience the whole in-person, voting thing. So just comment on that. The other thing I just wanted to note for the benefit of the public, I don't know if any other commissioners received these emails, but I received several emails from people who are part of the Clean Money organization regarding printing supporters and opponents for local measures, which of course the department did. So I checked, and it's basically the same emails that they sent us back in March. So I sent very polite notes back to them saying, in fact, we did print these, and if you didn't notice them on your ballot or don't vote in San Francisco, I was able to point them to a virtual copy of the ballots in the voter information panel, a digital copy. So I only got 3 of them compared to the number that I got in March. So hopefully the word got back. Oh, actually fixed this problem already, and didn't get any more emails on that. So just thought I would point that out.
Thank you, Commissioner Dye. Commissioner Wong.
Thank you, President Stone. So on election day, I actually visited several polling places in Chinatown, just to check in with folks and talk to poll workers. And I really am impressed that I think at least for each polling place I went to, they have at least 2 to 3 Chinese speakers, some of them up to 2 to 3, and also at least 1 Spanish speaker. So the language access is really profound there. And then, when I was observing, I feel like people, especially the older folks, have no problems asking questions. And I also observed that when people have more questions, they basically set aside on a table where folks can ask questions to the poll workers, and they can be in a more comfortable environment while, finishing the voting. So I really appreciate that. The other thing that I really like, so I went to a senior housing polling place and was talking to the workers who are resting. So I don't want to impact those who are actually working. So talking to folks that is resting, who happen to be also a Cantonese speakers. And they told me that a lot of older folks actually turn out this year. He has been helping the department for years. And I really am happy to hear that people actually can register at the polling place, which helps a lot, because many of them don't really know they need to register in advance, the Asian elders. So he told me that that is something that he didn't know before that they can do. And this time they were able to do it. And then a lot of folks are able to vote because of that. So for that, I just want to say thank you. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Wong. Okay, I will add a couple of comments. As Vice President Parker mentioned, I was at the warehouse on election night. I love being there on election night. It's incredible what, like the operation is just amazing. And I also want to echo Vice President Parker's statement regarding the energy in the space, which was extremely productive while remaining incredibly calm, like just so relaxed. People knew what they were doing. They knew where they needed to be. They knew what they were responsible for. It was just a very well-oiled machine and nothing frantic. So a huge testament to you and to Crispin and the whole team. It's just really quite an amazing operation. I also received the emails from the Clean Money Campaign. Thank you, Commissioner Dye, for raising that, and also have responded to some regarding the fact that it was on the ballot. I will say I have been loosely soliciting feedback from folks about the proponents and opponents being listed on the ballot to see what people thought. It's not been really a formal thing, but I do think it's important that this was the first time we did such a thing in San Francisco, and ensuring that it doesn't inadvertently cause electioneering is something I think the commission should continue to monitor. And also make sure that in addition to the considerations that Director Arnst has so eloquently articulated in past months about the considerations for other components of the ballot, such as getting to 6 ballot cards and the whole supply chain, but additionally, how folks feel about it. Do they like having it on there? Does it change the experience of voting? And I think this is something once, as a body that's evaluating policy, that we should continue to pay attention to. I don't think it needs to be a permanent measure. Obviously, the Board of Supervisors weighs in on this, but I think in consultation with Director and in soliciting feedback from members of the public, there's value in continuing to monitor it. The other item I would just mention from my own anecdotal experience is I have a friend who just became a citizen the week before the election, and at the swearing in the oath ceremony, they said that there was a member of the department who was there waiting, ready to register them to vote, and that it was a super easy process. And I said, well, if you have any trouble, let me know. And I never heard from them about any concerns. The only follow-up was to say it was so amazing to be at City Hall and go and take the picture and do the whole thing. And it's just something to feel really proud of that the department does that. So I just wanted to give kudos. Something that's probably just a normal operation can really make a difference on someone's life. So on a voter's life. So thank you. Those are my updates. Anyone else? Okay, let's move to public comment.
There are no public comments.
Thank you, Secretary Davis. That closes agenda item number 5. We will move to agenda item number 6, the closed session, discussion and possible action regarding the annual performance evaluation of Commission Secretary Marisa Davis. So first we'll move to item number 1, public comment on all matters pertaining to this agenda item, including whether to meet in closed session. Are there any public commenters? Okay, let's move to 6B. We will vote on whether to meet in closed session to consider this agenda item. Secretary Davis, will you do the roll call vote? Yes.
Yes.
She couldn't hear you.
Commissioner Bernholz?
Yes.
Commissioner Dye?
Aye.
Commissioner LeBoulster?
Yes.
Commissioner Wong?
Yes.
Okay. The unanimous vote is 6 in favor of going into closed session. So we will move to 6C, closed session pursuant to the Brown Act and Sunshine Ordinance to discuss the performance evaluation of a public employee.
Give me a second to shut this down.
Yeah. Are you just gonna turn off or like pause the recording? I think that's all you need to do, and then mute.
Hello.
Hi, wait, there's a problem. You're on speaker. There's a problem with network at City Hall. And so we're going to complete the meeting this way. So we can't, like, our microphones aren't picking anything up.
Okay.
We're just going to complete the meeting this way, if you don't mind.
Nope. Sounds good.
Okay, so the time is 7:41. We have reconvened in open session and we'll move to agenda item 6E, discussion and vote on whether to disclose any portion of the closed session regarding the public employee performance evaluation.
President Stowe.
Oh, no, we have to make a,
We do not disclose.
Second.
thank you. Okay, now we can move to,
President Stowe.
yes.